Welcome back, guys, to the Bear Podcast Show with me, Sean Scullion, aka the Handsome Stranger, Owen Mallon, aka the Bear, Aidan, the face for radio, behind the scenes, and today we have Allie Sherlock.
Hi, guys.
Singer, songwriter, and everything else.
Hi. How are you guys?
Saying you're the very first Zoom podcast we have
on Zoom.
Thank you very much. This will be a new one for us. So, Ali, obviously, we were on your socials there, but I have actually seen you in person down in Dublin. It's been a while, but we go back to the start, like we do. We like to find out how you set off and how it all came about.
Oh, well, I started busking when I was 11, so I'm 18 now. So I've been doing it like 7 years, and basically, I started guitar lessons. With my dad. My dad actually did them with me because he wanted to learn an instrument as well. And we went in, and he actually wouldn't allow me sing at the start because he was like, I'm paying for guitar lessons. So he was like, you're not allowed to sing. And eventually he was like, okay, you can practice singing as well. And then one day I was just like, can we go busking? And I'm like, why did I even ask that question? It's so random. But obviously I'm so glad I asked now.
And you know what? You must have some confidence to go out and I suppose when you're 11, you have the confidence of the world. You just take it on. But it has been meteoric from your 11 to now. It's been crazy, hasn't it?
It has. There's a lot has happened, and it's amazing. But yeah, no, honestly, I found it very difficult to go out that day. I don't know how I did it, because even now, not with busking, but with like bigger performances, I do still get nervous, and I'm remembering like, how did I go out on a random Saturday in Cork and just start busking in front of strangers? I'm like, how did I do it? But I did it anyways.
This is what I always say. Busking, it must take good confidence, because you're going out on the street, and if people come to your show, they're there for you and they've come to your show. But if it's on the street, they're not necessarily there because there's music, so you're having to win them over in a very short window as they're coming by to draw their attention but did it go straight away, Ali, or did it take you a while, because when I went past you one time, there was a serious audience, and I was like, what's going on over here? So the nosiness is what got the better of me.
Yeah, do you mean the nerves? Did they go away?
No, did you start getting the crowd straight away, or did that take time?
The very first day, it was insane. The very first day I went out busking, and I'm like, why did people even stop? Because I listened back to a video and I was like, oh my God, it sounded so bad. And I'm like, but the very first day I got a crowd, and I was like, I've loved it ever since. I loved the attention.
You were hurt.
Brilliant. But hey, Ali, tell me, when did that transfer then from doing the busking on the street till actually recording and then obviously putting it up on YouTube? Was that at the very start, or when did that kick in?
So as I said, I started busking when I was 11, and about say like a year and a half later, I like posted a cover of Supermarket Flowers that went viral. And then after that, there was like the Ellen show, and everything just kept growing and growing. Like ever since like the very first video I posted, everything was growing really organically, getting pretty good, decent views. And then once Supermarket Flowers was posted, it went crazy. And then there was like TV shows and the Ellen show. And then after the Ellen show, there was more TV shows and radios, and everything just kind of blew up after that.
We sort of pushed past it, but one of the largest shows in the world, and you were over on it. What was that like?
It was insane, honestly. Like,
but what age were you then?
I was 12, turning 13 in like a few weeks. So yeah.
That would have been mad. All of a sudden, you're standing in Cork singing, and then the next thing, largest show in the world. What? And just talk us through the experience. That must have been on its own an experience.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was so basically they called me a couple of months beforehand, and they were like, we'd love to have you on the show, blah, 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 blah. I can't really remember what happened, but it didn't follow through. It's something like I couldn't go to LA at the time. But this time, I was already in LA. I was recording over there. And I think what happened was, my dad emailed the producers of Ellen being like, oh, look, Allie is in LA right now. Do you want to have her on the show? And they were like, oh my God, yes, amazing, perfect timing. And within like a week or something, I was on the show, and they like, oh my God, I was so like boasting this to my friends, because I was like getting into like a limousine and getting all these like fancy, look at my green room, look at this. And I'm like, it was insane. The treatment was amazing.
And you touched on your dad there. Your dad's been obviously a big part in it, and he was out with you at the start, getting you lessons. Is he? What's it? If it's not is it a damager, a dad manager, or is it?
Yeah.
So he's been a big part in what you're doing too, and like obviously then I suppose then when it's weird, you done it in reverse order. You just went on straight on to the big shows, and then everyone around here was like, we need to get you on. So I suppose then it just took clean off after that.
That everything just kept coming in, TV shows, and it was insane after that.
How do you keep school and staying grounded and all this going on all together?
Well, I've been homeschooled since when I started busking. About a couple of months later, I'm going to say dropped out of school, but I continued school, but I was homeschooled. Yeah. And it was good timing because I was starting to get busy with everything. This was just like a year, but this was like a year before I went on the Ellen show. So it was perfect timing. And to be honest, like I started singing in school, doing kind of like talent shows and this and that. And they weren't very nice. Like the girls in my class, they just started they were just really rude and nasty. And my dad was always like, they're just jealous. And I was like, okay, but like, I still rather they weren't being mean to me. And they made school really difficult. So I also just dropped out because of that reason.
That's different to hear, because I would have thought, I'd have been like, if one of my friends was doing well or was out in this, I'd be like, lethal, this is class, this is the person to hang around with. But schools are cruel places too, like, and the nail that stands out gets hammered. So like it's just weird to hear. You think that the school would have been hyping you and behind you, but
you see, I was the new kid in school as well. I had just changed schools, and I was only in there like a few months. And so I was still like the new kid.
Well, it made that decision easy then, and you obviously must have. You got hooked on the singing and the audience and the feedback, and you got hooked on that. So then it made the decision easier. But it's a young age to decide this is the path I'm going. This is what I want. But it obviously it's been working out for you. But in between that, there's been some big shows and big. It's been mad. And your following has grown mental. Really, it's amazing. Allie, then you're homeschooled, and then you're obviously like, right, look, we're going to take this much more seriously. This is something, it started off that, but it's now become something, and we're going to knuckle down. There'll be some work involved. People don't see the amount of work between when you're doing videos and clips, and not just the busking or the thing, but like uploading and editing and stuff like that. Is that all done in house? Is that you and your dad, or? Yeah, everything is me and my dad. Actually, to be honest, mostly my dad. My dad just he does a lot of the work. I just show up and I sing. Yeah, he does a lot of the uploading and thinking of like content and everything. So he's great.
But hey, tell me, is your dad always behind the camera, never in front of it?
He's always behind the camera. He did make his way onto I think a couple TV shows when I was doing a few of them. Like I think what's the one in the UK? This Morning or something like that. He made his way onto that. So it was like that was his 15 minutes of fame.
And what about the busking? Does he ever jump on and have a go at you?
No, he doesn't actually. He's always behind the camera. Yeah. Yeah, he likes doing that.
But it takes this is what I was saying. It takes more than just one person as the team, but he must have a good understanding of social media and how this like people are now becoming fully aware of social media and the power behind it, also the bad, but the power behind it and how to create business and how to create content and grow an audience. But when you first started doing this, that wasn't like people think, oh, it's not that it's not that long that you were developing things. You'd have seen some amount of people copying and trying to do then what you were doing, but he must have had a good understanding of how things were working, well clued in there and saying, well, this is working and we're getting feedback there and a good understanding of that.
Well, to be honest, like when he first started doing like uploading to YouTube, he had no idea what he was.
He's faking it to make it.
Exactly. And then like once one video was doing well, he would just kind of pick it up like, okay, this is working. Let's try it again in this video and let's try new things. And he was doing like research and like what's best for it. And he was just winging it really, but it worked.
Brilliant.
See, we were saying this to other ones. There's show and there's business, and you have to have the two. You bring the show, and he's bringing the business. What, looking back on it, what stood out to you was what is it you enjoy most about it?
Busking?
Yeah.
Well, obviously I love performing. That's like the main thing of it. But also busking, I busk now in Dublin. I used to do it in Cork, but there's just busking is so large in Dublin that there's like a community now, and I've made so many friends like over the years from it, which is amazing. And like we hang out every weekend. Like I have my best friend now is like one of the buskers. Like we're like best friends. But also like there's crazy things happen on Grafton Street. Like,
go on, tell us.
like, oh my God, there's so much. I'm just gonna pick one. There was this guy. Oh, just some homeless people just walking. Well, they rob you all the time. I've been robbed like at least 10 times in like the past couple of years. But like the homeless guys just walking up and just scream into your ear. There was just one guy. Oh, there's one guy who every time he passes, he goes, I'm gonna do his accent as well. Allie Sherlock for president. He's just strong Dublin accent. And it's like, woo! And I'm like, yeah, man. I'm gonna
I've been in, and you know what? It's actually brilliant because it brings a serious atmosphere if you're down shop, and it adds to it. It's helping the shops, it's drawing people in, it's creating an atmosphere there. But there's more of a structure to it because as I was watching there and seeing there's people moving around, they're like, well, they've done their time slot, and there people think you just rock up, do what you want, but there would be serious patch wars, would there not? No, rival gangs.
We learned the hard way. So I started playing in Dublin about a year after I started busking, and we just showed up. We played wherever we wanted, and we got in trouble. Like the other buskers were complaining, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't know there was any rules." But there's like you got to get a license in each spot. You only have 1 hour, and you got to move. There's like you have to be 100 meters from the next busker. You got to move 50 meters. It's a whole lot of.
Aye, so there is a set out structure to it in Dublin, because that's what I was witnessing one time. I was like, you have a good spot out the front of Brown Thomas or something, what is it? Mm-hmm. You want to stay there, and then the next thing somebody's like, right, we're moving on. And I was like, why would you do that when you have a good crowd? And then somebody said, oh, the time was up. So there is a structure to it. You can't just, because there will be gang wars, like the gang wars. I could just picture you all by winging someone with a guitar over the head.
There's very strict rules.
Tell me, busking's changed. The music industry's changed a lot, where people are far more. It used to be bands were made up and half of them were shite anyway, or they were pulled together. But now, there's so many people with talent. They build their own following before record companies or anything comes. But you have the likes of even who did I go see? Passenger, or you have the likes of Dermot Kennedy, or people like that still want to bust the day before. Any Passenger gig that we went to, and I know I'm saying Passenger, I enjoyed Passenger because they were busking in Dublin. I went to watch them one night, and every night before the show they would go out and busk, and then they'd be in their shows and they're like, look, listen, this is the backbone of music now. It's changed. It's not what it was. You know, it's not made bands. It's not made. This is people, and this is what keeps them going. The people have become more aware of it, and they're happier to help out. Would that be right in saying it's changed?
It definitely is changed. Busking is so huge right now. I know a few people like on Grafton Street who have gotten really good things from busking. From obviously there's social media as well. So usually a lot of busking videos, they do really well on YouTube. People love them. So on Grafton Street, anybody could pass. Like anybody. I was out there one day, just doing my thing, and the head of the National Lottery came up to me and was like, we want you to do a show in Manchester for the Queen's Jubilee. I was like, all right, whatever. Thinking this is just some random guy. Because we get people come up to us all the time being like, I don't know, saying all random stuff. And I'm like,
Weirdos.
email.
Yeah. We're asking you to come on podcast.
So I was like, just send me an email. And like once he sent the email, I was like, okay, this is legit. And he was like, flew us over to Manchester, played in the AO Arena, like 10,000 people. And I'm like, this is insane. I thought this was some like scam. I was like, it was insane. But anything can happen. Yeah.
And hey, collaborations as well. I see you've doing quite a few of them.
Yes. Yeah, there's been a few.
Tell me a few.
Collaborations on Grafton. Well, like, sometimes like just random people come up to you on the street and are like, can I sing a song with you? And most of the time,
some of them are going to be crap.
They're shite. It's like me.
Like, oh damn, this is how can I stand here and just listen to this and I'm not make a face because my dad is recording, and I'm just like, you go. Sometimes there's like really, really amazing people, and I'm like expecting them to be bad, and they're amazing, and I'm like, this is incredible. And then there's been two. Who would I play with? Oh yeah, recently there was Ella Henderson that I played with, and I wrote with her before. Do you guys know Ella Henderson?
Yeah.
I wrote with her before in London. We wrote a song together, and she just DM'd me. She was like, oh, hey hon, I'm in Dublin for the weekend. You want to sing a song together? And I was like, of course. And we sang her new song together, and we sang like two other ones as well. And
that must be cool, but you know, if you could have told the 11-year-old you that was about to head out and was getting giddy that this is what you're going to be doing, you're going to be people dropping you messages to sing, like it's mad. And I suppose so many crazy stuff's happened now. You don't really, so much happens that you don't get that moment to sit and say, yeah, that happened. That was cool. Do you ever worry that somebody, like you're banging out like a baller or somebody's amazing singer, and you're like, you know, obviously you're a great singer, but I'd be like, fuck, I hope they don't walk past me. And I actually seen, who was it? David Gray was in Belfast, and one of the guys was busking, and he'd done a video, and he's like, he's not even singing the right words, right? But your man's a great, brilliant singer, and he was like, he's actually fantastic at singing, but that's not the lyrics. And I was like, fuck, you imagine that there. But obviously that the best thing about that is, and is John McGarry, I think you call him, he's a fantastic singer. But the best thing about that is I think it leads, it helps, because it was even funnier that David Gray's sharing this and he's in town and you're singing and then you're sharing it all. But it helped him, but it was funny. And I was like, do you ever worry that you're like, shit, I hope they don't come by? Or if you had a cold or something, you're like, I'm not at it today.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, some days it's like there's been like amazing singers come up and I'm like, my voice is like tired from the weekend, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let you sing. You just take it away. Take it away.
But what's so obviously then I hate talking about it because I just don't like giving it air, but then obviously COVID hit, and you had built your following. So you had an audience still that you could appeal to, you were there, but your your bread and butter, your daily, your weekly, it was gone. There people weren't there and they weren't shopping. It was a funny time.
It was. Luckily, like, obviously I had the audience on social media that I could do like live streams and stuff. So I was doing live streams like a few times a week and people were loving it. The social media was still growing because of it, so nothing really kind of stopped. But busking, I don't think busking has ever been the same since COVID. It's definitely different. I don't know that I just think it's just something like a vibe. It's a few things are different, but even when we came back straight, like just right after COVID, it was really strange. Everyone was just scared, like they didn't know what was going on. But luckily I had lots of work to do during COVID. I recorded an album and this and that. I had loads to do. So luckily I still had income coming in.
We were talking about you have a new album out here now, and what's the amazing title?
Very creative, called Allie.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it. Love it. I was like,
short and sweet.
What am I going to call it? I'm going to call it Allie because it's me. And how's that been coming across?
It's going well. Basically, I did this album because I wanted to kind of like a stepping stone towards doing original music because I've been doing covers for so long. So I'm working currently on doing my own music. So I did this because I never really did much on Spotify. Like my main places were like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We never worked on Spotify. So that's what we're doing now. We're just releasing things, releasing that album, and I'm releasing an EP soon. And then I'm going to be releasing original music, which I'm very, very excited for. Because finally I get to do my own music because I love covers and all, but you know, they're not me. I want to job in my own music.
Is it more daunting when it's your own music? Is it like established songs that people are coming past? It's not going to, like, obviously with covers, with busking, it sort of has to be covers because you have a very small window to catch somebody's, you know, and if it's your own stuff and they haven't heard it, they haven't got a chance to enjoy it. Is it more daunting? You don't, not that you're hiding behind someone, but you know, it's you and it's there's much more in it. Is it more of a you know, what way?
Yeah, it's at the start, I wasn't very, like, when I first started kind of writing songs, I don't even know how I sang them on Grafton Street. They were so bad. But my dad was like, they're amazing, keep going. And I'm like, okay. But now I'm more confident with them. But it is definitely harder to sing an original song. So you got to do a little smart kind of way. It's not that smart, really, to be honest. So you do your cover, the song that everybody knows, and you have a crowd. And you kind of say, look, this next one is about blah, 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 blah. And I wrote it here, and people are intrigued by what it's about, and they stay and they listen, and then they like it. If they stay, I presume they like it.
And then you see the crowd growing. The crowd keeps growing then, of course.
I love when I sing an original song and the crowd gets bigger. I'm like, okay, I wrote a good song.
Yeah.
I would be brutal. Sean will tell you this. I would, like, if somebody, we were up at the weekend doing video work up at the Northwest 200, and if someone rejected me for an interview, I'd be like, wanker. And if I was standing singing and someone walked, and they might need to go and catch a train or a bus, or like they're leaving because they have to go and meet their wife or something, I'd be like, hey, man, where the fuck are you going? Get back here.
He does not take rejection
No,
well.
I don't handle it well.
I'm used to rejection. Like, it's at the start I was like, oh no, people are walking past me, I must be terrible. But I'm just like, people have things to do. Like, they have places to be. I'm used to it. You know.
We were out videoing content one time for a competition, and we were out in the street in Liverpool. And I was like, I've seen these videos, people go up and talk to people. This will be easy, right? It was not as easy as you may think, we had to get a lot of frogs before we got a lot of princess. You know, it was, and I don't mean they were kissing them, but I mean people were just like blanking you, or they were going on past, and you're like, shit, people can be ignorant. Like, they can't be ignorant.
And you were giving away stuff too.
I was giving, but look, listen. If I was standing,
It's maybe your face.
If I met me and I was like, I'm giving you free, I'd be like, you're a shitty looking fucker. I ain't staying here. I'm out of here. Nothing's for free. But you know, what is the plan then, Allie? Then obviously you have such an audience. They've come to see you busking. The beauty is now, and it's funny, my mind's weird because I had seen you when you were very young down there, and then when we were talking about coming on, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen an incredible young girl and thing. And then I was looking at your stuff and the music, and I was like, I still thought you were going to be the young girl, you know. I was still like, and then when you go back, I might not have recognized. And I was like, that's my mindset. If I don't see someone for 10 years, I still think they were the way they were 10 years. But you now have people that have heard you before, and they're coming back to Dublin for the night, and they're going to pop down to hear you again. And so that obviously is your stable. But what have you other plans outside the busking with the music? You're going to take that more, or?
Yeah, obviously, like right now, I love busking and I love everything about it. But I'm working on original music to, like, once I release the original music, I'll do like a show in Dublin, and then do like a tour, and that will probably just like tour the album, not like a world tour, but just like a small tour, because I haven't done one yet. I need to see how it goes. But I'll be more of like an artist.
No, go big. Go big. Go world tour.
Well, no.
If you're going to do it, do the world one.
Yeah, like you need to be up at the Golden Gate Bridge.
100%.
Banging it out, like, you know, or stand in front. Well, maybe you can't go out the Statue of Limits and water, but you know, the thing about this is, and we're saying this, it's weird because we actually had a band that's big in Ireland, the Whistling Donkeys, who were in the with us a few weeks ago, and we were saying, they were talking about they built up quite a local following, and then they started booking shows further afield, and they were like, this is a bit daunting because we have our following here in Tyrone, and now we're going to start going there. And then the biggest shows, there's the INEC and is it Limerick or somewhere? They were down there, and they were like, we're playing thousands. We went the first time and it was smaller, and then we'll go back again. But for you to start coming around, say Ireland, for example, it really will start helping people, because people will know you when you're there, and you're like, yeah, that's Allie, that's Bus there. But it'll putting on the shows, and it'll be a different style, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah. And like playing on a stage is so much. It's so different than busking. Like, cause you're on busking, as you said, like you're trying to bring them in. You're trying to grab these strangers from like the side of the road, like, come listen to me. But these are like people who come to see you, and it's. I'm not gonna say it's nice. Like, it's amazing. They're both amazing, I think. But in a certain way, it is nicer, and it's an easier audience.
Yeah, because you don't have to put everything into every minute of a song to try and catch them. Where, you know, if you can build in the night, or you can play with your set, and you don't have to have everything catching people. But right there, we are. See, this is the thing, Allie. Now we're on a. We'll have to edit this out with a time remaining thing, but. Look, it that doesn't last long. That there, we must, whatever way we need to have a different, because we had a wrong. This isn't our Zoom account. We had to set up a different computer in here, so we'll edit this bit out. But so, Allie, what is the plan for the tour of your tour and the music? Are you going to do the whole of Ireland, or the South to start with, or Cork and Dublin, or?
I really don't have anything planned. I'm really unprepared. But my plan is really to do probably Dublin, Cork, Limerick, Belfast, Galway, maybe.
The big ones. Do the big ones.
Do the big ones, and I'm sure you'll have a massive. I'm sure you'll have a massive following at it. There's so many now in Ireland that established themselves over lockdown on an online platform, and now they're turning about, and we would have had a lot of, like, Dan McCabe was up here now, and you have like. Dermot Kennedy's gone on to a different planet now. He stole your spot in Grafton at Christmas time. I've seen him in there. He's like, hey boy, shift her on down. Shift her on down. But he's doing amazing. We're seeing him in Edinburgh Castle in July,
That's
but
right.
he's doing amazing things. It's opens the door, like, especially with your following already. It opens the door to so many things. It's at your feet. It's really just picking your next move now.
Yeah, it really is.
But are you currently recording?
Yeah. I'm recording, and this is my studio, so I record everything from home. I write everything from home. And then I send it off to my producer, and I'm like, I want this, I want this, I want this, and he sends it back to me, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. And then we keep doing that until we find something that I like. And then we get it ready into a little folder, and then we'll upload it to Spotify and all that. So that's what we're working on at the moment.
Would you be super critical of yourself?
Very, very. But I think my dad would be more critical.
Would he? Because I thought I would just thought he was like, she's brilliant. Everything she does is brilliant. Let's go for it.
He kind of is in a way, but in another way, he'd be like, if I write a song that's like not good, he'd be like, that's terrible. Get rid of it. Get rid of it now. But yeah, he's very, very honest.
Do you value his opinion above most others?
I do. Sometimes I'm like, you're so rude. Like, be nicer about it. But, yeah.
He's only got your best interest, so if it is shady, he's maybe just telling you. Tell me, Ali, and this is something I wanted to ask you: is it harder now to keep a captive audience as you're now an adult as it was when you were younger? Because I have to be honest, my first when I walked past, I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! That young girl's voice," and I thought it more amazing is that young girl. As you get older now, you're like, "Shit, I have to work harder."
That thought has gone through my head. Like, it did go through my head a few times. I'm like, were people just kind of like stopping because it was like so young, and like, but the crowds never really got smaller.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, as in like crowds, like they differ all the time, but I never really, to be honest, I'm very lucky. I always have a crowd, which I'm really, really grateful for. But I think before, obviously, people were stopping. I was like, oh my God, look at this little girl. She's so cute. I'm not calling myself cute, but that's great. And like, I think that's why they were stopping before. And now I know a lot of people in the audience, they would know me because people are coming up and they're like, oh my God, I love your music. And like, when I finish playing, there'd be like a queue of people like trying to get a photo. And I'm like, there's just so many people. So I don't think it's harder now to get a crowd than when I was younger. I think it's about the same. Yeah.
There's nothing but phones now, isn't there? You would be on some amount of Snapchat stories and Instagram stories over the
But
weekend.
you're the same. Every time I go, can I have your autograph phone?
Yeah, I'm sure
He loves the fame.
I'm sure that's the case. But look, Ali, it's been brilliant. We're having a chat with you, and then obviously there's the time, so we'll take that out. But we're hoping now after this we're going to put some of your new music in, and we'll get it up and get it shared out there. But I think it's class. I love the fact that yours is the other way about. That you've bust and it's blowing up, and you have taken your time and not run to the door like everyone else will be like, because when the first one went viral, you're like, right, it's time to get my stuff out and let's go. That you've taken your time, you've enjoyed what you're doing, you've then said, right, you know what, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to see what music I want to do and start touring. Where, like, you know, after the Allen show and you're following, growing, and it would be natural enough for people to assume that the next step was going to be that you were going to say, right, look, I'm going to get my own music out there. And I'm sure you've had record companies come to you before, and like, has it been hard to, well, you know, you haven't run off and said, right, I'm going to take one or take a deal. Has it been hard to like just keep your own path, or is that just something you and your dad spoke about and you had what you wanted to do and what the next step, or just see how it goes?
We didn't, like, as I said, we didn't really know what we were doing for a long time. And we talked to so many record labels, and we kind of were like, these guys, my dad kind of just went by like gut feeling, you know, just being like, okay, these guys are obviously just like vultures. They want to try work you to death and get all the money they can out of you. I was about to sign a deal a few months ago, but we were just about to sign the contract, and we were like, this is not good. Like we need something better. They're just gonna. It was just a bad deal. And to be honest, I was so young as well, doing it all, that I'm glad I didn't sign. They just would have worked me to death. They take all your money. They just take everything. And I'm glad I didn't. I mean, to be honest, I would have signed in a heartbeat, because I would like tell all my friends, like, I'm signed to like this label. And they would have been like, a lot of my friends are musicians, so they were like, oh my God, I love you so much. Be my friend even more. But I know my dad explained everything to me, like all the way through. Like, they're just gonna work you. And do you want to be worked to death? Like, I'm like, no, I don't.
But especially whenever you're enjoying the busking so much, like for to be doing it that long and you're still as
But
passionate.
you're young. I'd be like, fuck off, Dad. Would you and fucking sign it up? Like, but you know, it obviously only has your interests, and like, you know, and you know, you need somebody like that. You know, you don't need you need somebody that through all the shit, because there's a lot of glitter, there's a lot of gold, and it's not all gold, you know. And we've seen it, and we've seen people say it, but it's been class that you were fit to build that and do it all on your own, and now it's on your own terms. So like, it's been amazing. But Ali, before we wrap up, I've because I had actually seen you and we were talking about it, and the ones we're saying, I was like, must get on the show and have a bit of crack, and we think, but we wish you really well with this album.
And the next time you're down in Dublin, you're gonna get a wee song with Ali.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Me up singing. Bring the house down. There's a collab. There's a collab that nobody knew they wanted, but they needed. I would clear a bar out at night time. No bar. But Ali, what? Tell us one goal before we go. Before let's go, one goal for you. What have you not done, and you're like, I want to tick that off the list.
A big goal of mine is I would love to, like, obviously it's in the future, hopefully. But I'd love to headline the 3 Arena. That's like my main goal.
I look 100%. If anything,
It's going to happen.
If anything, I think you're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
I think you already would fill that out now. But it's been amazing, and we wish you all the best in the future. And Ali, thank you very much for joining us on the Burr Show.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ali.
All right, all the best.
All the best. Thanks a million.